Life is all about moving on, accepting changes, looking forward to what makes us more stronger and more complete. There are turns and hurdles which look difficult, but they often lead to beautiful destinations. So it's an endless journey between perception and reality. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dr. Tapaswini's Corner, and that's me, and I work as a head and neck surgeon at the Fortis Hospital. Every struggle in life makes an individual wiser. So we should all appreciate these hard times because someday they just become another chapter in our success story. Well, that's the story of our breast cancer survivor, Dr. Kamaldeep Peter. You are an exceptionally dynamic professional leading the corporate citizenship programs of a leading multinational company. Known for your leadership qualities and human services rendered to the society in the field of education, you have been a recipient of the National Award in 2005, Sri Shakti Award in 2017, National Women Excellence Award in 2020 have been additional feathers in your cap. As a survivor, you've been involved in various activities to generate awareness pertaining to early detection of breast cancer. Welcome, Dr. Kamaldeep Peter. It's indeed an honor to have you on our show today.
Thank you, Dr. Tapaswini.
It's so lovely to have you today here. So if we look at breast cancer, urbanization has been implicated in its causation. So why do you think cancer dared touch you? I think in the faintest of your dreams, you never have thought that a disease like cancer would ever strike you.
Yes, doctor, cancer is so unpredictable. And urbanization really compounds the risk factors like our lifestyle, the pace of life.
Correct.
But it's a very good question that you put to me, doctor, because
Yeah,
it's a very reflective question. Because
true.
when I and myself are in a solitude mode, I wonder why cancer struck me. And I realized I lacked self care.
Okay.
And I felt there are millions of things for me to do. Everything and everyone else was important.
Yeah.
Whereas I know there are some good healthy practices like sleeping on time, sleeping enough, eating healthy, eating on time, exercising. But honestly, before 2013 February, they never came into my priority list. And as John Confield said, if
Yeah.
there is no compassion for your own self, you can
True.
never be compassionate towards others. And
Great.
I realized the risk factors were never addressed by me. And that's why I appeal to all women that you should make time for yourself, your care. And once you are healthy, you'll perform better. And that's why being a perfectionist, being a good wife, being a good mother, an excellent employee at workplace, everything
Wow.
happens when you have taken care of yourself.
Perfect. I fully agree with you. In fact, cancer is about a journey which teaches us many things about ourselves. And above all, it really forces us to examine how our living has been. What was your reaction when the biopsy report came as cancer? Often we see that patients go into a state of denial and disbelief. So, how was that with you?
Doctor, honestly, I was neither shocked nor surprised, but
Really?
definitely scared and frightened because I was symptomatic for more than a year and a half. And
Okay.
nobody would believe, like an educated and a literate woman like me would never go for testing. Unfortunately, I lost two of my colleagues to breast cancer,
Uh huh.
and I was an occasional caregiver to them.
Right.
And I believed that cancer is just fatal. I
Okay.
saw them, kind of suffering. So I thought when I get cancer, I'm not going to tell anyone.
Mhm.
I just, keep it to myself. But then I started falling sick often.
Okay.
I would get fever, I would swallow a pill. I saw a lump coming and going. I associated it with a menopausal change. And it
Mhm.
was when I was 53, I realized that definitely it's time for me to consult a doctor. And
Right.
my mommy, too, my aunt, was
Okay.
diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So my son called me when I was at Chennai for a training and told me this. And I told him, I feel something is wrong with me. He said, Mom, get back. We take you for a test.
Oh,
So I I thus don't want anyone else to actually make the mistake I made. If you have symptoms, go early, because early detection makes cancer, curable, and it's a win-win situation for the patient and the doctor.
absolutely. Very correct. I think that's the message we should go across to every woman. Early diagnosis, early stage has an excellent prognosis. So the fear factor has to be removed. If at all there is a lump, it is always good to show to a clinician. Let them decide whether it is a benign or a cancerous thing. So one should not keep it to oneself. And that really reminds me because whenever there is cancer, it changes everybody's life altogether. And there is a line of it says by KU, if life kicks you, let it kick it forwards. So it's important to not to be going into a long state of denial, accept and then move forward. So was there an overbearing concern about your future, your children, your family? Did this thought actually come to you, and did it actually make you feel closer to them when you were diagnosed with cancer?
Yes, as you just mentioned, doctor, one has to remove the fear factor because science and
Absolutely.
technology and medicine has advanced so much. Yeah, the cancer is better handled today.
Right.
And yeah, when I was diagnosed with this, some thoughts that came to my mind were that, okay, I'm not too old to die, but neither so young that I need to ask for more time, because I know the law of life doesn't have any just principle, or it is
Okay.
governed by that. But I
Right.
wanted some healthy years with me. My children
Great.
were growing, and
Absolutely.
I wanted to see all that I invested in them, how it was blossoming. So the
Right.
family chemistry was perfect. My husband,
Mhm.
like I think every family does, went in for more than one or two opinions from a doctor. And he
Correct.
thought that we should get her the best treatment. And my son and my daughter had their own ways of making me believe that, Mom, you can fight it. So I could find the entire family was with me to build me emotionally and make me mentally strong.
Absolutely. So that's you've been a very lucky person. So family support is extremely important to it's a testing moment for all of us. And in fact, this disease helps us to evaluate our steadfastness in our relationships in the family and also people outside. You can actually make out who is true to you and who is not true to you. If I see your treatment profile, you've been through everything: surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. So, what in your mind has left behind some sort of a permanent scar?
Yes, doctor, I had a lumpectomy in my left breast,
Okay,
followed by 8 chemotherapy cycles
right.
and 33 radiations. And let me tell you, the chemo induced hair fall was so traumatic for me. With loss of hair, I was feeling
Absolutely.
a loss of self confidence, self esteem. And I
Yeah,
really, was wondering at my own philosophy and value system. I attributed a lot of beauty, looks to my hair. So I
mhm,
lost confidence. I started to avoid people. So I
mhm,
found Okay, besides the fatigue factor, the kind of, nausea, my desire not to eat during chemotherapy, all that, you know, I could somehow manage, but I struggled to gain confidence because I didn't have a single eyebrow nor a single eyelash. And then I started talking to people who went through this journey. I spoke to my doctor, and she said, Kamal, you will get it back. It's a
Correct.
temporary loss.
Yeah.
But I found that part of my journey very difficult. Rest, I was like a primary school kid. I followed all the instructions of the doctors very carefully. I ate fresh food. I avoided infections so that my chemos happen every 21 days. And I kept the date to the dot. October 10th, doctor had told me your treatment would finish, and I finished it on October 10th in 2013.
Wow. I can understand all that you would have gone through. In fact, when you talk about chemotherapy, the first and the foremost question among all the females is what will happen to the hair loss? But you do a lot of multitasking. And I see that so beautifully, which is, it's ingrained into you. And that's like your second nature. So tell us, what was that thought and power which made you do everything? You were good at work, you were also taking proper care of yourself, you continued to have the treatment so religiously, took care of the family. So what was that driving force that which actually got you into all this?
Doctor, I'm a bit of a workaholic. You know,
Wow.
I yeah, I can't stay without work. I didn't want to depend on anyone either physically or financially. So I realized I should get going. And a lot of career decisions are taken at the time when you're diagnosed with cancer. I
Yes.
had a very supportive manager. I remember submitting a long, duration leave to my HR, and my
Mhm.
manager didn't accept it. He said, Kamal, take days as they come. Let's see how you can handle it. So I felt it was great because it kept me mentally engaged. And that
Correct.
preoccupation with my pain, my trauma, everything was kind of behind, or suppressed in my day to day routine. So the energy you get from your daily routine, the buzz of activity, it gave me a lot of solace that I am capable of doing things. I just slowed down in my speed, but I kept doing a little. So my new normal was not very deviant from my normal life.
So inspiring to hear that. So inspiring. Comment from Winston Churchill, and he says, a right attitude makes a great difference while riding through the dark clouds of cancer. Not many patients recount their bad days or their worse situations during the treatment, but I'm sure they would have had been some moments which gave you pleasure and ecstasy, which made you stand through these trying times. So when you were going through under so much of rigorous treatment therapy, are there some moments which actually gave you a lot of joy and pleasure?
Yes, doctor. You start finding joy in little things. A very good thing happened that after my daughter finished her graduation in the Mount Carmel College at Bangalore, and she appeared for the St. Xavier's, post graduation course in Mumbai, she got selected. And
Right.
I asked her that please don't take a break. She was torn between her commitment to nurse me or to continue her education in Mumbai. And I told her it will be an honor if come up to my desire that you go and continue your education. Your mom can manage it.
Yeah.
Her selection gave me a lot of joy. And then another small thing, but it was so important to me at that time, was my company, which is a multinational. They feature one employee, every month, which goes as
Okay.
a newsletter globally. And
Uh-huh.
I was featured for my achievements in the role which I was handling.
Lovely.
And I found some of my friends, especially my mentor, came for every chemotherapy to the hospital, 8 chemos, and my mentor was there with my family. And I learned so much observing. that if you want to do something for someone, do it today. Why wait for a tomorrow? So the good wishes and the little happenings which I valued so much at that time took me through this time.
Wow. So sometimes, difficult times are like a bag full of cotton. It's heavy for those who see it, but it's light for those who can handle it. So one should go with the flow of life. And if we don't buy into our fears, life becomes easier. So inspiring when I hear that during the chemotherapy days, you also continued to prepare for your MBA examinations and you gave your best shot. So I can imagine you walking with your head covered with a scarf and just to hide that hair loss. So what was that feeling which was actually in you, which was overbearing at that point of time?
Yes, doctor. I think I set a good goal for myself. It was my
Mhm.
fourth semester exam,
Okay.
and it was the last semester. Had I
Right.
postponed it by another 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
probably I would have not done it. You know,
All
so I
right.
thought I spoke to my doctors. One thing is, very important. Speak to your doctors, whatever concerns you have. I spoke to them. I asked them because I was never using a chemo port. So they
Okay.
asked me whether you could actually, I was taking my chemos in my right hand and they said, could you write? I said, can I give it a try? They said,
Mm-hmm.
yes, go ahead, just be careful. So, as you said, when I went to the superintendent there, center superintendent, he looked at me and he said, this lady at this age and in this stage, she's
Uh-huh.
coming, she's coming to write her MBA exam. Are you in search for a job? I said, no, I am in job. It's only that I started doing something and I want to do it because I also wanted to demystify the fact people think a cancer patient, especially someone who's going through the complete ordeal of treatment, is kind of reduced in worth. You know, they
Yes.
are not able to contribute, they are not able to achieve. So I thought, let me give it a try. I would lie on my bed, read, go for my exam, take a bottle of water as you said, put a scarf. And so
Mhm.
I remember one day I was having a running stomach. I rang up my doctor and said, what should I do? I have an exam in 2 hours. She said, eat this medicine and go, otherwise skip it, she said. And I could manage the situation. And today I feel it's good. I would have never completed it, doctor. And I also proved, and I passed with, just 1% less than a distinction. And
Wow.
how good I felt that I did it. I made my entire family so proud.
It shows that people struck with cancer are not unproductive and hopeless. So that's what we need to prove to our listeners. So you can crack anything in life provided you have a confidence in yourself. And that's, you are a striking example of. So, what was that feeling that you got when you completed your entire treatment?
Doctor, mixed emotions.
Really?
I was so happy that I kind of, my treatment is over. It went
Yeah.
as per timeline, and I don't have to go to the hospital so often. But I felt that the cancer care, which I was getting from the cancer team, was like my inner circle. I had some trust. I felt they had a magic wand to handle my problems. And once I'm not visiting the hospital, I would be missing that kind of care from the doctor's team. So I felt that transition from cancer care to a cancer survivor,
Lovely.
requires again a lot of, mental positive talk to yourself because everyone feels it's done, but we are still going through a lot of side effects of our treatment.
Do you still have that fear that it can come back?
Oh yes, doctor, a lot of of recurrence. And I don't know, I asked my doctor so many times, why don't you write you're cured of cancer? They say you're in remission. For most of the cancer patients, we are called to be in remission. And then they say you cross your 2 years, your risk is little lesser, then 5 years, now it's the seventh year. But I know, ask me when I have to go for my annual tests. or at least a week before that, I start imagining, suppose I am diagnosed, what will I do?
Yeah.
How will I go through it? So at this time, I find that involving myself in some positive work, positive engagement, at least reduces that tension, which I can't share with the family, but I have it.
Yeah.
That's why they say fighting cancer is a very
uh,
personal battle. You can be
Absolutely.
you can be in the midst of 15 family members who care for you, but you can't keep telling them your fears.
Yeah. Because the true hard fact is you have to fight it alone. Every cancer
100%.
patient should have a constant checkup and surveillance.
Yes, 100%. Because the basic idea is that if at all there is a recurrence, it would be in an initial stage. And it's
Right.
again easier for the doctor to handle such a situation. So,
Mm.
till today, doctor, I have not missed my follow ups. I have never missed a date because lessons, delayed diagnosis. Now I don't want to repeat my mistakes. I want to take care. My self care is important now.
Yeah, I can understand. So you've been an excellent patient. I'm sure your doctors would have been very happy with you. So also the vice versa is also true. Your doctors have been really nice with you. And I see that faith and trust that you've had on the entire team. So are you able to openly speak about the disease? Do you think being a professional, it may harm your career progression?
Doctor, I have spoken very openly. Till today, I'm not clear whether it affects you professionally, but my organization was very supportive. And I also performed and
Mhm.
gave them measurable results. Professionally, I would say I continue to speak openly. You'll see in my social media also, I write I'm a cancer survivor. In fact, I want people to believe it's not something so fatal, or it's not the end of the world. It's like some other disease. We have such good oncologists in the country. They are handling most complex cases. And let's have the confidence, if we have been the unlucky few who got it, let's fight it out. So, to me personally, not an impact, but people say that because of the financial implications, we don't know
Yeah,
when somebody will relapse. So companies are not very keen. But one of
right.
my friends who joined
Mhm.
Dr. about 6 months back in my company, she got selected, though she was a cancer survivor, and she told that in her interview. So I'm glad,
Mhm.
you know, perspectives are changing. The
Absolutely.
hiring people are respecting us, that we want to
Wow.
live life like normal people.
Correct. Absolutely. I share this feeling of yours, and I'm so happy that even the attitude of the employer is changing. So, you also took a course in counseling. Why did this thought come to your mind at all? Do you think counseling is extremely important?
Doctor, no one should fight cancer alone. It's just not the
Correct.
physical, financial aspect, a lot of emotional upheavals. There are some questions we can't ask the doctor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but we can discuss with people who've gone through the journey in support groups. And I thought, thanked my radiation oncologist. It was exactly 5 days, October 5th, 2013. I was waiting for my radiation when she came and told me, Kamal, I have a small little task for you. Come to the chemotherapy ward. A scientist was going through her chemo cycles. She
Mm-hmm.
is kind of uncontrollable. Her husband and son are waiting outside. They are weeping. Can you
Oh,
just go and talk to her? So I
right.
went to the chemo ward and I told her, I spoke to her. She had lots of questions. She asked me, oh, you also don't have hair. You also lost this. Are you doing your work? Will I be all right? And I felt the little I spoke to her gave her a lot of, consolation and courage. And the family also felt supported. After which, doctors started referring patients to me. So I thought, okay, let me go through a professional counseling course. It was by Stanford online. on
Mm-hmm.
palliative care. So I took it and I felt I learned a lot. I learned it's not advisable to tell them you will be all right because you're setting
Exactly.
a wrong goal to them. Yeah. You need to tell, give your best to the fight, you know, and
Mm.
remain optimistic and positive.
Lovely to hear that. It's like you give hope to the patient, but don't give them false hopes. You've been writing a lot to the newspapers, you appear on the television. Was this how cancer changed you, or this was some part of the thing which you were doing earlier too?
I love writing, but I realized that it was not constant flow of my thoughts.
Okay.
It depended on the time I had, but writing is a very powerful medium to communicate your thoughts. So after I started doing support group work, I started writing more for the, around the issue of breast cancer awareness. I had so many myths about cancer. I realized breast cancer awareness talks are so important.
So pen is mightier than sword, isn't it? So you talked about myths. So what are the myths that you want to dispel from the minds of the general public?
First myth, cancer is fatal.
Mm-hmm.
Treating cancer is futile. It's 100% wrong. It's basically treatable in early stages. So that's the first myth. Cancer is contagious. People, when I work in the support group, sometimes the husbands, call me and ask me, ma'am, my wife came back from a radiation. Can we sleep in the same room? Will my children be affected? It's not contagious. Secondly, though I stayed in a building in which we are educated middle class people, but there were some people who felt seeing a cancer patient in the morning was a bad omen. Today, also, when I meet some people, they say, a miracle happened in your life. And I wonder why is there such an attitude about cancer? Why that stigma is there? So
Correct.
these are so many areas we need to work on.
I hope all the listeners imbibe what you have said today. The myths that we have in our society has to be dispelled. So your liner, which says that head full of fears has no space for dreams. Now it's been 7 years. Would you like to change this liner?
Actually, I'm glad I didn't let my head fill up with fears, doubts, anxieties. I did have a share of them. But
Yes.
I must tell you, my perspective to life also changed. The small trivia that bothered me is now not anymore important. Anger, fear, anxiety, they are basic feelings, natural human feelings. So I started, having goals. It's very surprising, doctor. People tell us, अभी आपको काम क्या करना है? Why do you want to work? Relax. And I felt, array, my goal setting started now. I can give more time professionally to learning, giving back to society. I was a full-time mom, attending to schools, children's homework. So in fact, I got my promotions after actually, I should say after my cancer treatment.
Wow. So
I,
cancer
I'm
has really blossomed a lot of things in you. Yeah.
Yeah, become more resilient, more minus that annual test, which it still, I
Yeah.
start handling problems, better. I think iska bhi solution hai. Let me be positive and confident. So I don't allow my head to fill with too much of anxiety. I sleep over the problem, waiting for better tomorrow.
Lovely, lovely talking to you, Dr. Kamal. It's so inspiring to hear your story, and I'm sure a lot of people who will watch this program would be thoroughly inspired. And to conclude, we have something to say. Neither joy nor sorrow is a permanent state of human life. If you look at happy people, they don't have the best of everything. They just make the best with everything that they have. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you, Dr. Kamaldeep Peter. It was wonderful talking to you. See you next week with another survivor. Till then, goodbye.